The very nature, the very act of pursuing an impossible goal transforms you in the process. It creates more ideas, more potential, more connections. It brings out skills, ideas, ways of operating you've never seen before. It busts the old mold because the old mold won't work. Welcome to the Do the Impossible podcast. I'm Jason Drees with Jason Drees Coaching. Don't forget to join me every Monday at 10 a.m. Central for my Monday Mindset Reset call. Go to MondayMindsetReset.com, MondayMindsetReset.com to sign up and invite your friends. It'll change your life. So today we're talking about impossible targets. What are impossible targets, right? Impossible targets are targets that we normally don't consider. And why are we talking about impossible targets? Because that's the level we should be playing at. It's also the title of my book, Do the Impossible. But why should we play at impossible level? Why should we? That's a great question. The interesting thing is my very first impossible target I hit without aiming at it. When my business accelerated in 2020, at the end of 2020, I had a lot of exposure working with Brandon Turner, that was on the podcast. The business kind of exposure exploded and went from me to like multiple people on this team overnight. The business went from just me to like 20 employees in 18 months. So I had this radical explosion. The impossible target I hit at the time was managing all that growth, managing all that success, building a coaching program outside of what I do, teaching other people how to coach that way, building a system to manage those, building a marketing system, building all the pieces of a business. That was the impossible target I tackled that time. And over the course of the past few years, I started to realize that there are impossible targets. And I actually coached somebody on this, and I forget the exact coaching call. But I was coaching them on this coaching call, and when I coached them, these questions like lit them on fire. And there's 3 questions. And I'll ask those questions to you. And these questions is when you uncover the right impossible target, it's usually an intuitive, internal target that lights the person up. And what I've found is that most people don't aim at that level. Most people set goals based on last year. Okay, last year I did 100. What do I want to do next year? Well, I'd like to do 110. Rarely do people go, I did 100 last year, let's do 1,000 next year. So most of the time, our brain is working in the process of comparison to the past. Oh, it's the end of the year. What did I do last year? Okay, 100. Let's do 110 next year. So if you ask yourself the question, what do I want? You're going to get an answer that's based off of past reference. That's the first question. Second question you can ask yourself is like, what is possible? So instead of saying, what did I do last year and what can I do this year? You can ask yourself, what did I do last year and what is possible this year? If you ask yourself what is possible this year, you will get different answers. You will get a different answer because when you ask yourself what is possible, your brain will give you an answer based on external reference. So you may have done 100 last year, but somebody you know did 120. So you're like, okay, 120 is possible. So you pushed it up. So the second question you ask yourself is what is possible? But don't stop there. Continue and ask the third question. The third question is the magic question. The magic question is what would be impossible for you to do this year, but would be a lot of fun to do anyway? It's a great question, isn't it? And as a coach, asking that question is a lot of fun because when you ask that question, the person answering it like 90% of the time, 95% of the time, will pause, blurt out some answer, as in disbelief, 500, in like a way that they would never do, 500 this year. And then if you give them space, they'll go 500, 500, yes, 500. And it surpasses all logic and means and reasoning. Why? Because it's an internal, intuitively generated target. What do you think happens when you start to align with life in your goal setting process? What do you think starts to happen when you start aiming in the direction that you're supposed to go, that life wants you to go? Maybe that's when resources start flowing your way. Maybe that's when stuff starts to happen automatically. Maybe you start to grow at a level you never have before. Now, whether or not the client who went from 100 to 500 with their targets, whether or not that person hits 500 next year is irrelevant. Irrelevant? Yeah. Why is it irrelevant? It's irrelevant because the process of going after impossible targets transforms your very nature. It throws out the window what's possible, what's impossible, logic, safety, and you literally start to explore your full potential. Because most of us are nowhere close to tapping our potential. Most of us are shutting down, playing small because we have lost in the past or it hurt last time we failed. So we're trying to play at a conservative level. And really the reason most people don't aim higher is because they don't like the emotions that come up when you play at that level. So why play at an impossible level? The reason you want to play at an impossible level because the very nature, the very act of pursuing an impossible goal transforms you in the process. It creates more ideas, more potential, more connections. It brings out skills, ideas, ways of operating you've never seen before. It busts the old mold because the old mold won't work. You've got to start playing at that level, especially in times right now. The world's a little bonkers right now with this economy. They've been saying it's going to crash for how many years? But some people are still thriving. So the reason you want to aim at an impossible target is because you're not going to conserve your way to financial success. No, you got to play at the level you're meant to play at. And the thing that stops people from playing at the higher level 99% of the time is the emotions, the fears that come up when they play at that level. Now, I'm not talking about take stupid risks in your business, in your family life. No, I'm saying play at the level of your potential. And what I've found as a coach over my past 10,000 or however many hours, 10 years of coaching, is that people are not aiming at that level because it's too uncomfortable to do that. But I hate to break it to you, life is not comfortable. You're either going to have the discomfort of expanding your comfort zone and seeing how big you can play and how crazy and amazing your life can be from going full out, or you can have the pain of being average with an average income and an average job and an average amount of time to be with your family. I don't think anybody these days, that around me anyway, grows up and just wants to have a job for the rest of your life. Why? Because we want freedom, we want control, we want resources, and you have to create those. And everybody's path is different, but you'll never, ever, ever walk that, receive the results of that path if you don't allow yourself to make the decision to play at the level of your full potential. So I'm challenging you. Yes, you listening right now. There's a lot of people listening to this. The thousands of people listening to this are not going to do anything, but you are going to do something. You're supposed to do more. You know that you're the one in your family who's going to make the difference. You're the one with the balls to do it, the courage, the capacity, the desire. Is it going to be easy? No. It's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done in your entire life. What? Playing at an impossible level is harder? Yes. Playing at the level of your full potential is the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. It's challenging, it's tiring, it's exhausting, it stretches you. And just when you think it can't get any harder, it does. But I'll tell you something. It is the most satisfying thing I've ever experienced in my entire life. Far more satisfying than the dollars in the bank accounts and the resources and the trips. It's more satisfying that. What is so satisfying about playing at the impossible level? What is satisfying is knowing that I gave it everything that I had. Everything I had. I'll take knowing I gave it everything I had any day. I will take that over a win because that's what you take with you. That's adds to your character, or if you don't hit it, it takes away from your character. Everyday life is giving you challenges and stresses. And those stresses aren't to be numbed with pills or alcohol. Those stresses are there to transform you. And right now, life is tough. Yes, it is. There's a recession, economy, the government's doing crazy ass shit. It is weird and tough. Does that mean does that mean it's impossible? Maybe. Does that mean you're not going to win? Maybe. But if you believe you can, nothing's going to stop you. Because right now is going to take more out of you than ever before. It's going to require more. The hungriest are going to eat. Those that are more determined and more focused and have more resolve and can create the certainty, the confidence to operate in the unknown, those are the ones that are going to win right now. And the struggle for greatness is real. It is a struggle. It will tax you. It will challenge you. But I'll tell you this, the satisfaction of playing at that level beats everything else because you're living a life without regret. You're raising the standard for those around you. You're bringing the best possible opportunities and resources and money and income into your life. Who doesn't want to bring the best in there? Who doesn't want to be the best? The only people who say you don't have to have all that stuff are the ones that don't have the balls to do it. And you don't even have to have balls. There's amazing women out there crushing it. So which one are you? The one that's going to watch this episode and let it tune out and do nothing? Or are you going to stop what you're doing right now and write down an action item from this episode that I am now playing at the impossible level? Or are you going to take it a step even further and pick up my book and read that? Are you going to take a step even further, join me on the Monday Mindset Reset call, or a step even further to book an intro session at freeintrosession.com so you can start this process? Because I'll tell you, uncovering the impossible target on your own is hard, even with the questions. I'll give you the questions. What do you want? What is possible? What is impossible would be fun to do anyway? Those are the 3 questions. But I'll tell you, when you ask them yourself, it doesn't work as well. When you get coached through that process, it pulls something out of you. So if you want to experience that growth, go to freeintrosession.com. My team will walk you through that process to help align you with that target. So you can start playing at the level you were destined to play at. The world needs you. Now is the time. The solution to this economic situation is not being conservative. It's also not taking risk. The answer is playing at your full potential, going at a higher level, aiming even bigger. Because if your world was just this business, your world should be more than that. There's more opportunities. There's monies everywhere. You just have to be open to see it. So keep leaning in, keep focused. And please aim at an impossible target, because if you aim at an impossible target, you're raising the standard for you, your family, your community. And if enough of us do that, we will raise the standard of the entire planet. And then the world will transform. The world is calling you. I am calling you. Take some action. Go to freeintrosession.com. Book in an intro session. And we'll walk you through that process. And I will see you on this next episode. I'm Jason Drees with Jason Drees Coaching. Go do something impossible. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.